Part 4, control. So in controlling our strikes, it also helps when we're doing techniques with our ukis, because I don't want to hit my uki in the head. It's my training partner. When I control the strike, I can take the shoulder if I need to take the shoulder, but I can also just control my strike and not actually touch his head. But recording these numbers are going to give me introspection into myself. So if you haven't seen parts 1 through 3, please go check that out. I'm going to do that filming again. And this time I'm going to set up my phone 60 seconds on a timer, record myself without actually connecting. The non-connect part is going to tell me where I'm shifting. Now you can look at your contact video and see at what point you're shifting. For context here, you don't want to shift too early, but you don't want to shift too late. No sooner than the midway point from angle of departure, but also not at the last second of impact for shifting, not flexing, but for shifting, because he's also moving. There's a big difference here. You may or may not know, I want to tense and flex everything at the last second of impact. However, I want my shift to be before the last second of impact because he's moving. So right around the midway point, if I'm throwing a left reverse punch to his face, I don't want to shift my hip here and my heel out here, but I also don't want to shift it out here. Right about midway between the distance of my shoulder and his face. So right about here, when my hand gets there, is where I want to launch that shift. The strike, no strike drill gives me the ability to see where I'm shifting. Now, you can also compare strike to strike videos. And this is really good information because this information is going to help you drastically. You may not know this. This is how professional fights are done. Now, the fighter doesn't always analyze all the data, but they get told about all the data. What happens when boxers or UFC fighters get in there? They have these teams, right? Well, those teams analyze the previous fights of the opponent, and they look for telegraphing. They look for where and when they favor a specific side. They look for their favorite moves, their favorite strikes, their favorite locks, and you can too. You can learn all of these things about yourself just by filming it. Ed Parker actually said that he learned more about Kempo himself when he watched his film in reverse, and more about the motion and how he performed it because he was watching it backwards. Now that's also kind of cool. You can invert the video and watch it backwards. However, for this, I want to look at some specific numbers. When am I shifting? As long as I'm in that midway range, I'm good. But what does my cardio look like? Am I super fast in the beginning and then super slow midway? You might have noticed I actually mentioned in the video, just do a moderate pace. You can do an all-out video too and just see at what point you lose cardio. Everybody has numbers here. There's no wrong or bad numbers. There's just your numbers. Don't compare yourself to anybody else. Compare yourself to you. Once you know what these numbers are, you know what goals you want to set. So if you know that your cardio goes out in minute 2 and 13 seconds, and you've done a couple of videos, you can work on getting it to 2 and 20, 2 and 30, and 3 minutes. If you know that you favor a specific side or a specific strike, you can work on integrating more strikes into what you're actually doing in the moment, not just while under duress of pressure of watching yourself, but also under the duress of cardio. And amongst all of these things, you have the ability to look at your roots, your stance. You have the ability to look at your form. You may remember from that Bruce Lee video we did, there was a bunch of people giving him a hard time about form. One of the first questions I asked was, great, are we at minute 3 or minute 10? I have no idea at what point he was hitting the bag or for how long, and that makes a huge difference for everybody. Everybody's got a cardio number. When we know what our numbers are, we have the ability to work on ourselves, go down this path of introspection, and you can do it with everything. How high do you kick? You can measure that from a video. How fast are you switching stances? How quickly can you shuffle in and out? There's so many different things on the timing, the power, And the way you do it, that you can now analyze because you recorded yourself, wrote down what your numbers were, and then compared them to your other numbers. I hope you try it. I'm Instructor Thompson, my Self-Defense Studio.